Thank you so much, everyone, for joining today's webinar. And a little bit about ourselves. My name is Carrie, and I am the admissions manager of the International Full-time MBA program. We have a few of us here in RSM team, and we are responsible for different regions. And we'll be happy to speak with you if you have any questions about the program, especially if you have questions that are more like personal about your good fit and this and that. And then we are very honored to have Johan with us today. Johan is the academic director of our full-time MBA program. He's also the associate director in organization theory at the Organization and Personal Management Department within the Erasmus University. I know it's a lot about him, and you can read everything here on this page, or you can also go to his LinkedIn profile. And I'm not going to read everything now today. So Johan, thank you so much for joining us today. The floor is all yours very soon. I almost forgot the housekeeping rule. So before we start, I just want to let everyone know that we have Q&A session at the end of the session. And if you have any questions, very welcome to put your questions in the Q&A box. Some of them we will pick it up along the way. Some of them we will pick it up at the end. I would suggest you to make sure that your question is also beneficial for the bigger audience. So if it is something very specific, very personal, really like according to your own situation, welcome to reach out to us by email afterwards, and we can assist you further. So no more delay, Johan, the floor is all yours.
Thank you very much, Carrie, and really nice to engage with you a little bit about the MBA program. I won't repeat anything that's on the slide here. I'm really happy to connect with you separately as well, so do find me on LinkedIn if you want. But today, I'm going to spend some time focusing on our MBA curriculum, and as Carrie announced, specifically focusing on our experiential learning journey. I'm very passionate about what we're doing here. We're constantly changing our program. We're constantly adding new things to keep up with the challenges of our times, also to keep up with developments in education. And generally, right, the experiential learning journey is increasingly becoming more important. It's becoming more important for the way we learn, right? To learn about the complexity of the real world and making a difference in a world that's constantly changing. But it's also increasingly important to really differentiate, right, the unique experience that you get through doing an MBA versus many other alternatives of education that you can find online these days, right? So today we focus a little bit on what's unique about our experiential learning at RSM. One thing we'll do usually at the start of the MBA, so if some of you end up joining us, you'll probably see this again, is in the introduction week, trying to get you to think about what best resembles your MBA journey, right? So when you go do an MBA, what will the experience be like? And I like to throw up these powerful images and then have our students reflect on it. But before the start of the program, I asked them, what image best represents what you will experience during the MBA? And I wonder if you could look at that briefly as well while you're here. And maybe in the chat, give me your thoughts. Which image do you think would best represent what you think the MBA experience will be like? Let's see. This is the first check to see if you're alive and engaged. Good, we're getting questions already, which is good. We'll try and answer them as we go. Some of them we'll keep for the end. What do you see in these images? What do you think the MBA will represent? All right, as we wait for some people to figure out an answer. The chat is disabled, so we can use the Q&A then for the chat. Okay, hands on, yes. All right, very nice. All right, so we see a creative experience here, someone painting. We see someone working clearly in a laboratory. We see people working in a team of surgeons performing surgery. And we see what we could maybe describe as a craftsperson that has a workshop with many different tools, right? And what's really interesting is that when we pose these questions at the beginning of the program, yeah, that's what Shwetang said, all of it, right, could resemble your MBA experience. And I think that's a really nice answer, right? This is an all-round experience where you learn a variety of skill sets in a variety of different contexts. And what really sets the MBA apart from any other type of program, right, is that you come out as a more well-rounded individual, right, and a more all-round professional and person, right? One image that particularly appeals to me, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, is the one on the right bottom here, which represents, right, this craft workshop. I like to think of our experience often through this metaphor as well, where really what we're trying to offer you is the opportunity to, right, to build your own toolbox, your own toolkit, right? What is it that you want to make in this world? What is it that you want to change or contribute to, right? And what are the kinds of tools that you need to collect along the way to increase what we call your impact capacity, right? So I'm constantly confronting you with these kinds of images to challenge you to reflect on what is it actually that we're doing during the MBA, right? And a lot of that has to do with your experience, not the hard and raw academics, but really the experiences that we create throughout the program that allow you to grow, right, and become more experienced, think more within these analogies. So thank you for engaging with me. Now this is, a lot of information here. This is the entire curriculum, all in one slide. And if you've looked at our website, you've seen some of these bits and pieces come through already. But what I'm going to do now specifically is focus on those bits that are most important for that experiential learning journey. All right, so taking the elements out a little bit, you see our program runs from January to December, right? So it's a full year with the opportunity to extend additional learning opportunities up until graduation, for instance, an exchange. But really the backbone of the program, as I have come to see it, is in these things that run throughout. So one thing that we've introduced actually this year is what we call Reflection Wednesdays. So we deliberately structure the rhythm of the program so that your academic content falls on Mondays, Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, and that Wednesdays, the middle day of the week, is free to A, reflect on your learning, or B, do active activities, right, that directly allow you to develop beyond the academic components, right? So on Reflection Wednesdays, we have personal leadership development, which is a course that runs throughout the entire year. Here, we invest a lot of time thinking about how you can, what we call, improve your being capacity, right? So this is going to confront yourself with particular attributes, strengths, and weaknesses that you have, and it's going to challenge you to try and experiment with new behaviors, right? Become a more effective team player, become a more effective leader, right? So throughout the year, we'll have about 11 sessions that are targeted in a workshop-like fashion, right, to improve your leadership impact. That course is supported by coaching. So we have individual and team coaching. Partially, that is up to you how much you will take that up, but it's heavily intertwined with our personal leadership development. And we naturally have a whole careers track where we also here develop you to become effective on the job market after the MBA. We do have a number of workshops, and also here we have targeted careers coaching as part of the package. A second thing that we've added relatively recently to the program is what I've called the craft of management. Again, this is a course that runs throughout the entire year. And this is a unique course that I think you will find very difficult to find in any other program. And it compares a little bit to the PLD, where the PLD is very much internal and individual. The craft of management is going to be about reflecting on your role or the role of the manager or the leader in society, right? So what is going on in the world? How is the world changing rapidly? What does it mean for some of the things and frameworks that we're teaching? Do they still apply? What are some of their limitations? And what is the role of the manager in the 21st century when, we all know that traditional systems of management, shareholder value maximization, are often not sufficient to address the massive problems that we have in the world, right? So management increasingly is becoming more of a craft rather than simply a science, right? Where you have to rely on more holistic skills, both from your personal development, but also from how you understand society, being able to deal with complexity, and as a community, really support each other to have an impact. Right? So that is stuff that we do throughout the craft of management, which again, runs throughout the entire year. Other elements that I wanted to emphasize here are some of our projects. So again, here we have a bit of a journey where subsequent project experiences build on top of each other. And by the way, feel free to ask us any questions about any of these courses in the chat. I'm monitoring them as well, so I can respond to them live. And as you'll see, Carrie can also pick them up in the chat as well. The impact experience is first. This is a unique course that we've introduced a number of years ago. It's going to challenge our students to engage directly with challenges and issues that are relevant to the city of Rotterdam. Right? So your university is in the center or deeply immersed in the city of Rotterdam and deeply intertwined with the city of Rotterdam. And we're going to use that, our backyard, basically, to some degree as your playground, but also as an opportunity to challenge you for the first time in the program to engage with the real world. The impact experience is a project-based course. It is ran by a diverse team. It's run by a diverse team of faculty. Tal Simons, Mir Shemla, Ferdinand Jaspers, and Karthik Rapaka this year. And it's going to challenge you to team up with your fellow students that you've gotten to know in the first months of the program. Go out into the city and identify a social problem related to an to what we call the SDG 11, which is SDG about sustainable cities, right? And in an intense period, we will teach you about design thinking, problem solution, research skills, and with those skills, we're going to encourage you to come up with an intervention, okay? And that intervention could be a project, but it could also be a startup. Right? So some impressions, what we do here, we have a big space where everybody comes together and they work flexibly on their projects. They go out in the city and interact with people dealing with these problems. And what's really interesting is that we get a really broad range of projects that students end up working on that come from their own interests and passions, right? So last year's winner was a team, you see a picture here, that ended up working on the issue of cigarette butt littering. Okay, so they found that a lot of people that smoke just toss their butts on the ground, and this leads to pollution. So they did investigation, and the toxins that are in these butts are harmful to the environment. And then they had to come up with a creative solution to reduce this impact, right? They ended up interviewing people on the streets. They ended up interviewing NGOs that were already working on this issue, and came up with a creative intervention where they worked basically with an awareness campaign and a smart intervention in the physical space to encourage people to actually litter properly at the designed places. So this team then won a prize actually to continue to pursue their idea throughout the rest of the program. Right? So just a highlight from the impact experience where what we find important is putting you early on in the program in the real world. We're putting you in a challenging situation where with the team, you have to try and solve a problem within a limited amount of time. And more importantly, also encouraging you to think about the responsibilities that you have when you come to a place, that you can also think about how you might be able to give back to that place, right? And not just be an anonymous passerby. Okay, so that's the impact experience. Another really important project that contributes to the experiential learning is our living management project. This course is led by Nicholas Constantinescu, who is a very experienced faculty in this space. This is a more conventional consultancy project. So here, sort of towards the summer, June and July is when this course takes place. We actually recruit real companies with real problems, and you'll be assigned with team members to solve these problems for these companies, right? Here again, this is a deeply immersive course where now we will take you through a longer period of time. So we'll have about 4 weeks where you work super intensely, basically as a consultant, right? On these real projects. You'll get structured support from Nicholas and his team, where you would get hands-on experience with problem solving and other consulting skills. You will need to step up in terms of managing expectations, both from client side, team member side, also faculty side, right? You'll be working with a faculty coach on your project, right? So, and this is usually also a very intense period where our students gain a lot of experience, right? What is it like to run a high stakes project, right, in a real strategic context for a range of exciting companies, right? So we partner both with large companies that are based in the Netherlands and with slightly smaller scale-ups, and many of them are also relevant to our mission, right? Our mission to be a force for positive change. All right, so you see here on the slide a project that we've had from Oyster Heaven, which is a startup from one of our alums that works specifically on food systems and growing oysters, sustainable oysters locally in the Netherlands. We see there's a project run for Rolls-Royce, Aegon Insurance Company. And so quite a broad range of companies that you would be able to work with. Last but not least of our project-based courses, we've added a new course to our curriculum recently, and that is called the Impact Entrepreneurship course. The Impact Entrepreneurship course is there to build on a previous experience that you've gained throughout the Impact experience, right? And during this course, you would get the time, so 10 weeks and up, to actually go from an idea to a full-fledged business proposal that you may actually pitch to real investors. This course is currently set up as an extracurricular course. So you would need to apply for this course with a team. You would need to have an additional idea pitch. And if you are selected to participate in this course, this will consume a chunk of your time during the last few months of the program. But what Miriam Werner, the lead faculty, does is then tailor also the program to the projects that we've accepted, right? So last year we had projects around sustainable construction and the conversion of spaces for living. We had a project around the use of organic waste, specifically looking at how can we use coffee grinds and recycle them, upcycle them actually towards products. And we had a project that dealt with the issues of declining bee populations in urban areas that developed ultimately in a platform for multi-stakeholder initiatives, right? And based on these projects, Miriam recruited select speakers, select experts that work with the teams. She recruited coaches that advanced teams' skills, right? And teams throughout this period learned not just about what does it mean to set up a business model that actually is making an impact, not just a profit. They also learned key entrepreneurial skills, right? So developing a full-fledged proposal, pitching a proposal in front of a panel. A fun course, very successful course. This is a unique take that we have also to experiential learning. This course was not formally assessed. It was not for credit. But the students that went through this course said this was the most powerful learning experience that I had because I felt free to learn, right? I could really pursue my intrinsic motivations. And actually, I didn't spend more time on any other course than this course because this really became my course and my project, right? Another element that's, I think, key to emphasize here is the personal leadership development that I referred to earlier, right? So again, this is a very hands-on course. We do a number of in-class exercises. We run simulations. You'll be challenged to deal with peer review. So you would solicit feedback from your peers in class. You would have to learn how to provide effective feedback. We will provide mentoring opportunities as well. Where on campus you are able to contribute to learning opportunities for others. And there's opportunities to be coached, but you will also learn how to coach yourself, right? And by learning to coach yourself, I realized there's a double meaning. It's coaching yourself as a person, but also being able to coach other people in the workplace, right? All essential competencies and skills that you'll need in a modern workplace. Just pausing to see if any questions come up about any of these courses, because I know I'm sending a lot. And otherwise,
Yeah,
I'll stop.
thank you
Carrie,
so
is there
much.
anything else?
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing all these, Johan. And for all the participants, if you have any questions, I know it's a lot of information that we are sharing with you. If you have any specific question about the program, any parts of the projects, feel free to put it in the Q&A box. Both the Q&A box and the chat box are enabled right now, so you can send it to whatever box that you want. I'm curious about the PLD, Johan, because it is a program that is the whole year long. I mean, other projects maybe it's like 4 weeks here, 6 weeks there, etc. But yes, this PLD is like from the first week, but basically when they start the program. So, what do we expect to see from students in terms of their growth?
In terms of their growth.
Like in terms of how
Yeah.
they benefit from this PLD? I mean,
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
is an expectation from students, or what do we normally
Yeah.
see from students' journey?
Yeah. So what we get with PLD is that indeed it's throughout the year, but I would say that the weight of the course is on the front end, right? Where I think also there's the most opportunity to challenge you and start to build skills that are going to help you throughout the rest of the program. And the first few sessions that start right in the first week when you do not have any other courses yet are going to be potentially confrontational, right? So some of us are quite comfortable talking about ourselves and our own strengths and weaknesses. For others, it takes a little bit of time, right? So we need to create that space. We need to create a safe environment where you are able to do this in a classroom and actually open up to some degree to your peers, right? So challenging you to reflect fundamentally on your values, right? And what are your work values? Challenging you to reflect on your style, right? What is your management style and your working style, right? And how does that work together in a team? So what we do during this time also is form what we call PAL groups. So these are peer action learning groups. Those will be the teams that you will work in during the first part of the program. But later the teams for the specific courses and assignments will change. However, your PAL group stays together in some fashion, right? This is your small community to which you build a deeper relationship that allows you to also find support throughout the entire program, right? So the PLT helps you form that group from the very beginning, right? Get to know each other deeply, but also provide that opportunity for you to give feedback, receive feedback, and improve yourself. Something that happens after that introductory period is a first challenge where we say, okay, you've now tried to reflect on who you are as a manager, as a worker, as a team member. You know a little bit about your strengths and weaknesses. A lot of what we do is about habit. And if we want to improve and become better managers, better people, we need to try and change our habits, right? So you'll be challenged to experiment. Okay, so during a module, during a part of the program, the PLD course will ask you to come up with an experiment. Okay, what kind of behavior could you try and see if it improves something for you, right? So that's a really important, powerful learning experience, right? So we use the course and the projects, right, not just to challenge you cognitively, but also really as an opportunity for you to grow and learn and develop as a manager, as a leader, as a person, right? So there is this space to experiment with new behaviors that you usually won't get in the workplace, right? Because you need to perform right. Here you can potentially fail, right? And then reflect on that with your team members. So I can continue. There's more, but I think those are some of the key elements to emphasize here, Gary.
No, it's great to see that students, they have a platform where they feel safe to make mistakes. They feel that they are in an environment that they can constantly learn with their peers. And because they stay within the same group throughout the year, they can also see the growth of one another, changes that they experience, not only for themselves, but also their teammates. So I think this is what I heard from a lot of alumni is one of the highlight of the MBA program from the experience.
Yes, I think so too.
Yeah. And we also noticed that there is quite a new element in the MBA program. I think it was just introduced last year, if I'm not mistaken, is the craft management. So would you also like to tell us a little bit more about it?
Yes, I will. I'm picking up one question first from Shatank in the Q&A here on impact entrepreneurship, and if we would have specific criteria for projects and ideas. That's a very good question. In principle, there are no really hard criteria. Other than that, we need to see an engagement with the broader issue, right? So here in this course, we're not focusing on entrepreneurship for the sake of being an entrepreneur, which is a very sort of more North American view of what entrepreneurship is, right? I want to become rich, so I will start a firm and I'm looking for an exit so I can make a lot of money, right? This is a form of entrepreneurship where entrepreneurship is a tool, right, to make a difference in the world, right? So we're identifying a broader problem that we care about, and through being entrepreneurial, we're trying to make a positive impact. Yes, we can be profitable along the way, but our mission is to start actually with driving that impact, right? So that's the general criteria that will need to be met. And then, well, throughout the year, once we would get closer to the application, right, we will make clear also how we distinguish between the quality of submissions. It looks like this year we'll have 5 teams that can participate, right? So up to a quarter of the cohort actually could earn a spot in this course. Very good question, Martin, on PLD. Is PLD graded as part of the curriculum? This was not covered. Yes, it actually is, right? So PLD, we've waited to put some importance on this, right? So this is not just a fun activity that you do along the side. We take this really seriously, and it has the status of a real course. It actually is the biggest course. It has 60 ECTS, if I'm not mistaken. And that means you, over 5 assignments, actually build up a grade. Now, we're not grading you based on how good of a leader you are or how great of a person you've become, right? You'll be graded on the quality of your reflection, right? Are you putting effort in? Are you really thinking about and trying to learn from yourself and from the course? So, it's not a high bar to clear, but it does have the weight of a proper course. So thank you for asking that, Martin. Keep those questions coming. I'll talk a little bit more about the craft of management, and also, Carrie, feel free to add any questions that you think might be helpful to address. Here is the answer. Here's the picture again that I referred to briefly before, right? And I actually created this course when I came in to try and fill a gap that I saw in the curriculum or address a need. Right, so this is a red thread that ties across, that goes through the entire program and ties different courses together, right? And it starts with thinking about what is the purpose of the MBA, right? Why are we doing an MBA? What are we trying to collectively get out of it? Yes, there is a material motivation, right? We want to get a better job. We want to make a step in our careers, but there's also a broader purpose or motivation, right? We want to make a difference in the world. If so, what is our MBA journey supposed to look like, and what are we going to get out of it? Ultimately, the idea being that your MBA should be more or something different than just a degree with a list of courses and grades, right? Formally, that is what will come out of it. But in reality, right, it's a personal learning journey where you've built your own toolbox, right? And the academic journey is super rich. It will be very intense. But we are also realistic, and we know that you won't retain 100% of the information and things that are all going to throw at you, right? The challenge will be curate your learning experiences, recognize those moments where you grow and add something to your toolbox, right? And reflect on them collectively. So the craft of management allows us to do that. The craft of management is also one of the few courses where we come together as an entire cohort. Right? So the entire energy of everybody in the classroom having big class debates on difficult subjects from day one, also something that happens during the craft of management. Topics that we've covered so far in the current class that started in January. We've had a debate on the purpose of the corporation in the 21st century. We've talked about the difficult subject of rationality. What is rational? How is rational? What is rational determined by society around us? And I'm increasingly challenging people in the classroom to find their own craft. Okay, so how are you going to not just keep the shop, right, when you get a job after your MBA, but actually make the future happen, right, or make the future better? What are the kind of skills that you need for that? What are the kinds of social challenges or transitions, if you will, that you're going to contribute to and actually craft a better world. So we're using that as a platform to have these kinds of conversations. This course, unlike PLD, is not formally graded, okay? So this is a required component, but here I'm not gonna assess you. So again, this is a more free space where we can have an open debate and really also create a lot of opportunity for peer learning. Because one of the greatest assets that we have as an MBA is the community that we nurture, right? So the people that we bring together. So also facilitating the opportunity for peer learning, that you can learn from someone that has an entirely different background, has been in a different role in a different country, has a different worldview in general, right? And we can bring it all in fruitful interaction with each other in this course. So that's a little bit more about the craft of management. Again, that course runs alongside other things throughout. I also wanted to highlight a few things that are slightly more towards the back end of the program. So after the living management project, there is an opportunity, or there's actually a requirement to do a study trip. And here we'll usually have a portfolio that we share with our other MBA programs, so our executive MBA and our Cologne Rotterdam MBA. Typically we have 8 locations and they're anywhere in the world. So one goes to Washington, it's dealing with business and politics. There's one that goes to Iceland that deals with the green economy. There's one that goes to Costa Rica this year. There's one that goes to Dubai that deals with the energy transition. Tallinn on digital transformation, London on finance. And for the first time, we're starting a study trip in the Netherlands because we realized that there's a lot to learn in our backyards, not just in Rotterdam, but specifically also in the country of the Netherlands. Small country, densely populated, but also packed with a whole diversity of different sectors. Many of these sectors are facing global challenges, right? Around transition towards sustainability, growing inequality, digital transformation. So there's a ton to learn from local businesses and how they're dealing with this transition that is not just relevant for those of you that would look to stay in the Netherlands, but also for those of you that would look to find a job outside of the Netherlands, right? So this year we're developing a study trip on transitions in food systems, right? Which the Netherlands has actually long tradition and a lot of dynamics that are ongoing, both on innovation, also on some of the social issues, sustainable footprint, all those kinds of things. So study trip, an extra experience where you will learn also to understand a problem, a topic in an entirely different context outside of the classroom. After that, right, there is an opportunity to also specialize. So we have advanced courses, we have electives, and you can actually round it off with what we call a career concentration. Within that, there will also be experiential elements, right? So there's a few that I could highlight here. Let me see. I don't have a slide on that. But for instance, our advanced sustainability course is an experiential course where you actually consult for a Dutch company. Our electives include a number of experiential courses, such as Leading with Presence. This is a fun course, actually. The Leading with Presence course constitutes an extension of the PLD, where we work with actors, and the actors are there to reenact a scenario that you find challenging. Okay, so you could base it on maybe an experience that you had in which you struggled to perform, right? A difficult meeting or something else, right? And the actors will then reenact the scenario, and you'll be put in that scenario, and you will have to work your way through it. And throughout that, you get coached, you reflect on how you behaved. And again, it's an opportunity to experiment with new kinds of behaviors. This is another course that students often find quite transformational. The Dutch study trip, I see Carrie maybe also answered this. Currently, it will actually cover most of the Netherlands. So we will move to different parts of the Netherlands to explore the issue from a variety of perspectives. Still under construction.
And
finally,
Johan,
yes, go
before
ahead,
we
Carrie.
move to the next slides, I have received a couple of questions. First of all, this what we see on screen is a very intense curriculum. Is there any break during or between the modules?
Very good question. So yes, it will be a pressure cooker experience. However, we are increasingly, or we are continuously looking at what is the right pace and rhythm of the program. So this year's program is structured slightly differently than what we had in the past, which means we actually have a break. So you'll see that in the middle, there's a 3.5-week study break in the summer. So during August, there will actually be time to, recover before you go into the final stages of the program. The other breaks are there around holidays, right? So the Netherlands has a number of public holidays that we will all observe. And we've maintained that Reflection Wednesday, right? Which means that there's always a day in a week that will feel slightly more relaxed, where you do not have to be constantly cognitively, right? But where you still have space to learn and add value to your MBA experience. Generally speaking, the rhythm is intense from January to July, quite packed, right? Break, living management project, also intensive break. The last 3 months, a little bit more relaxed, right? There's a get more space. You can add an impact entrepreneurship honors course. You can add an internship. You could really go full on the job market already to allow you the flexibility also to customize your MBA experience.
Yeah, and since we are on this page seeing the curriculum, and you also mentioned, for example, internship. So there are two things that are optional items of the MBA curriculum that are the internship and the exchange. Do you want to maybe tell us where they can be and how students take advantage of them?
Yeah. So first of all, to say that the highest quality internship advice will come from our colleagues in the careers team that we will work closely with and who are responsible for your careers track. But I know what they will roughly say. An internship can add value to your position in the job market, but it's also something that we do not necessarily see as a requirement. And sometimes also we recommend that you look very carefully at internships because in the Dutch system, there are a lot of internships on offer, but there are also quite a few internships that are a little bit under MBA level, right? So it's important to find an internship that actually allows you to advance your career goals, and our careers teams can help with that. There is space to do an internship between September and December. Okay, that's the natural place to do it. In principle, right, we also have a 3.5-week study break. So if there's a shorter internship or an internship that can start in August, right, could be an opportunity as well. A little bit more difficult time usually because in the Netherlands there's general holiday periods, but generally after August is when there's space for an internship.
And exchange?
Oh, exchange, yes. Exchange is happening from January to March. Okay, this is a process that you'll need to be cognizant of from the beginning of the program. Not every student will be eligible to go on exchange, right? So we do make a selection on those students that are performing well. And then we have a really broad network of partner schools where you can follow part of their curriculum in some of your courses, right? Those are US-based schools, but also European schools, some schools in Asia. This partnership network evolves a little bit over time, so I'm not going to name specific names, but if you're really interested in that, you can ask us a direct question and we can find more information out. But January to March is when that takes place. You might actually also see incoming exchange students during September and December. And we'll be asked, our students are usually asked also to mentor or partner with some of them to help them land properly on campus. So also an opportunity to extend your network.
Great, thank you. And we have questions about entrepreneurship. So if students are interested in these routes, what are the elements in the curriculum or within Erasmus University itself they can find the resources?
That's a great question. We always have at least a few people in each cohort that have that interest or already have a background being an entrepreneur. We are increasingly building concrete spaces in the curriculum also where we develop entrepreneurial skills, and some of them have highlighted. However, there's a lot going on campus that you could benefit from. First thing I would mention is that we have a student association that has a club dedicated to entrepreneurship. So every year this club organizes targeted activities for the students in the cohort with an interest in entrepreneurship. Right, so if you were to join our program next year, right, one of the first places is to learn from the previous cohort what they have done to cater to people with entrepreneurial ideas. On campus, there are a number of initiatives. So there's Erasmus Enterprise. We have the Erasmus Center for Entrepreneurship, who we actually work with for some of our courses. They organize additional events, right? So outside of the MBA that you could potentially be a part of. In the context of our impact experience and impact entrepreneurship courses, we actually work with some of these partners to attract mentors, right? And again, those are mentors and resources you could also use beyond your MBA learning. And then finally, we're part of a broader network, right? So we're closely linked with Delft University, an engineering university, and their initiatives there as well. So there's Yes Delft, which is an incubator for startups in the tech space. So I see our students also engaging there. Yeah, I'll pause there. So, you know, a number of opportunities there. I think that the message is you need to be entrepreneurial also to pursue them, right? They won't naturally come to you. Oh, there's one more I mentioned. I have a student that's very entrepreneurial who also connected with an entrepreneurial network in the city of Rotterdam, right? So there was a venture cafe that they went to where they connected with entrepreneurs throughout the city, right? So many opportunities. We are a very entrepreneurial city, I must say.
Yeah, indeed. I think Rotterdam itself as a city, and I think the Netherlands itself as a country, has a very strong like trend in entrepreneurship. I think it's also because of the work-life balance that we have here in the Netherlands. A lot of people have time outside their work to maybe do some side projects, and then they start a small business, and then they work 1 or 2 days a week on the business, and then reduce their regular job, and eventually their own firm takes over. I've seen it quite often, though. I think it's the vibe here that allows people to dream big. So this is what I would see.
Yeah, very true.
And I also have I have a question I encountered last week. So it's about the living management project. So
Yes.
living management project is a great tool for students who do case studies in a real situation.
Yeah.
So for a lot of them, this is quite a new experience.
Yeah.
This question comes from a candidate who is a consultant. And then the question is, for consultants, how do they further benefit from this project?
That's a very good question. I think it's even, I could make this question more general, right? So throughout the MBA, we will have a number of places where the cohort will be quite split in terms of previous experience and previous relevant knowledge, right? So we also encounter that in financial management, for instance, where we have people that, you know, they already mastered this stuff, and then we have people that are complete novices, right? So one general point is that we require everybody to go through all elements of the program. And that is also that we will challenge them to get value and add value to the course in a different manner, right? So if you master something, we'll challenge you actually, okay, how can you transfer or make sure that other people can benefit from your experiences, right? And actually help them advance more quickly. Living management project, I think, will force you also to reflect on your consulting practice, right? So you'll get new tools offered. You'll also get the opportunity to develop a relationship with a company. So in many cases, or in a fair number of cases, we see living management projects extended, right? Some of them translate into internships. Some of them actually translate into jobs, right? So there's a lot of things there that add value to your experience beyond just the skill of being a good consultant, I would say.
Great, thanks. And I think you made a great point, is that even if someone is very strong in an area, I mean, they can always see how they can impact others and share their experience, their knowledge with others of the team. And I
Right.
do see it often, students forming study group. So someone very good at, for example, finance will be, let's say, helping the others who maybe
Yeah.
need some more push in
Yeah.
explaining things. So this is also the beauty of the classroom, I think,
Yeah.
that it is so diverse, and it's not only culturally diverse, but also function and industry,
Yeah.
their strengths. And then students come together, they don't learn only from the book or from the professor, they really learn a lot from one another. And I think this is also why we particularly want to have a very diverse cohort every year.
Yeah.
And it's also that they will go many different ways after their graduation to different industry.
I think this is really important to emphasize. And for me, this was really unique about the program because we have a cohort size also that is rich and diverse enough to get that right experience, but it's also small enough that you can actually form a real community and real connections with almost everybody on the program. And then we rotate the teams, right? So you will be challenged to work with different people along the way. Not only will get to know more people, but also it will challenge you in different ways, right? And then a very important point to emphasize here is that our curriculum is integrated, right? So our PLD and coaching anticipates the challenges that will come up in, for instance, living management project, right? So you get team coaching. If it works well, the coaching will be aware, oh, we have someone in the team that is an experienced consultant, right? How can we challenge them then to take maybe a more senior role, right? A role that you maybe not had in the past, and now you can try and test how you would function in such a role with more responsibility. Just an example.
Right. So one last call for everyone who have questions, please put them in the Q&A box, and then we'll try to cover as many as we can. And I think the last part, Johan, you're going to talk about the very exciting SDG games.
Yeah, I have a couple of final slides that I wanted to emphasize. There are a few experiences that I think for me were very powerful, that were close to my heart, that we've done with the last two cohorts. The first one is the SDG game. This is what we've done now twice. So with the last cohort and the current cohort, we use it as an extension of the craft of management. And this is a simulation game where you would play based on a system of cards where individuals get goals and there are collective outcomes. And the challenge of the game will be to balance people, planet, and profit. Right? What's really nice about this game, and I'm usually quite conservative when it comes to gamification, is that it perfectly models collective action problems that we face in society, right? So when you see something going wrong in the wrong direction, what are you going to do as a person, right, to try and steer it around and collaborate and coordinate to get a better outcome? So that was one very powerful experience that we've created for the last two cohorts. The other one that I really like to highlight, and again, it's something that is extracurricular, is our impact investing competition. So these are the great team from last year's cohort. What we had at RSM, we used to have this very well-known private equity competition, right? So every year, and there's other schools that do competition as well, and our students go there. Every year we had a private equity competition in November, in which we were sponsored by a big company. Attract a lot of attention. International MBA programs came and participated in this competition. But last year, the sponsor dropped out for a number of reasons. What this team did was quite remarkable. They considered their options and they realized that they were fully in the driving seat of the competition. And they said, in the spirit of the program and the school's mission, let's pivot this competition. We actually want to know more about impact investing rather than private equity. So we're going to rebrand it. So they rebranded the competition. They organized it on campus, brought in great speakers, got great engagement from industry. Robeco was there, Triodos was there, an alumna from Sustainalytics was there, and they got great teams from other MBAs to participate in this project, right? So not only was this really great for school, this was a really great learning experience for them, right? Where they dealt with a problem and turned it into an opportunity and then organized a super successful event, right? So these are the kinds of experiences that you can also gather like beyond the curriculum, right? By being active in the student associations, running specific clubs, engaging with competitions. right? So that's the final thing I wanted to highlight. And I know we are on time, so we have a few more minutes if there are any remaining questions.
Yeah, I think this is a question that I'm a participant also to see MBA students' journey. I mean, it is really an intense year for them, both academically and also in their personal growth. So with so many activities, student clubs, all these projects, competition, alongside with their exam and case studies, classes, etc., what would be your advice for our students, how they can be good in their time management and also really benefit from
Yeah.
all these practical projects?
It's such a good question, and I'm not sure if I have one good advice, but I'll say a few things. I think it's about preparation, right? So be ready for this stuff, right? When you come to a program like this, and it's any MBA program, right? Come in with open minds, ready to learn, ready to also challenge yourself and grow, right? And create that space, right? We've had the occasional student that was ignoring some of the messages from our recruitment team and was trying to keep a job somehow half on the side, right? Definitely don't recommend that. Don't do that because you will actually miss all these opportunities. Okay. So that's one. Be ready. Be ready. Also have the right mindset. The other thing is you will have to make some choices, right? So you cannot do everything. And that will be hard, right? There will be resources available on campus, right? We will have a coaching trajectory, right, that can help you and support you to make those choices. At the beginning of the year, the program is quite structured, right? So you won't have to make those choices yet. You will have a little bit of time, right, to settle in, but the choices will come, and then you will have to make some. The other thing I think you need to think about early on is, again, the purpose of your MBA. Do you want to graduate with top grades, right? Or, right, do you want a completely transformational experience, right? I'm now exaggerating that this is somehow two alternatives you need to choose from, right? But you need to balance this somehow, right? We do have students that really care about being the top ranked student. Well, and that means putting the most time and energy in your academic coursework, which is fine, right? And you cannot participate in all the other activities, right? However, I believe, right, ultimately most value, and it does depend on your career goals, most value comes from not trying to get A's and 10s in all your academic coursework, but being ready for these experiences, right? Find a few that are close to your heart, right? Where you're comfortable, but also find a few where you challenge yourself and extend yourself, right? So some of the most powerful stories I hear from our recent alums are the ones that said, I was really bad at being an entrepreneur or being in front of a crowd, right? I didn't have any of these skills. So I deliberately went out of my way to seek these uncomfortable experiences during my MBA because that's where I wanted to grow, right? So if you clear for yourself where you want to grow, you can also select activities that go with your growth journey. That's a really short answer to a complicated question.
No, I think from all the experience you have with students, seeing them, hearing their stories, seeing them, the challenges that they face during the MBA program, these are the tips that definitely are very valuable. And I even think that students, before they start their program, they should listen to this webinar again, and particularly this part. I think this will help them to prepare.
Yeah, that's been a requirement before you come to campus. Listen to the webinar again. Yeah.
Yeah, and we have one last question, is more about students remaining in the same industry or making a career switch. And what do you think about if the MBA program can help them if they want to make a switch in their career?
Yeah, so in principle, the program is set up to help you make jumps, right? And we sometimes talk about a double or a triple jump, right? Where the triple jump is the most difficult one, right? Where you jump geography, jump sectors, and you jump roles. In principle, a program is set up to help you and support you with that. So not just is it there to teach you the skills, right? And give you the knowledge that you need, right, to make a jump. We also have that bespoke career journey and coaching journey where we really sit down with you and prepare you to make such a jump and advise you on how to play that. So yes, it's actually the very nature of the program. Many, if not most students, right, the vast majority of students that come here are at least wanting to make a geographical jump. Many of them also want to make a bigger jump going into a different industry. And we have support. The support doesn't just end when the program ends, right? We have some career support that continues, and we're increasingly also improving our support post-graduation, where we work with our corporate and alumni relations team, right, to continue support you on your career journey post-MBA.
Yeah, I mean, I do see students sometimes still come back, do more career coaching after they finish the MBA program. So it's great to see that students are forming the bond with the school and also in the alumni network. I think we are, hey, good on time. And on the next slide, you're going to see the contact details of the recruitment and admissions team. You can email us. Of course, preferably you will email us according to where you are based at the moment with the region. But of course, sometimes we are also like on the road, or sometimes we are out of office. So we all communicate very well. So send us an email and we'll make sure that you will be supported by one of us in good hands. So a big thank you to Johan. Really, thank you so much. I'm not going to take the credit, but I'm going to read it. Like in the chat box, this described the best webinar attended about an MBA program. And thank you for like giving us your tips and also taking your time to answer all the questions. Thank you so much. And I saw that there's one last question about recruitment events. So please send us an email. I'm sure we have a lot of cities that we are going to cover in the coming months in all the different continents. So please email us and we'll let you know if we're going to visit your city. Johan, thank you so much. And have a lovely day, everyone. We look forward to hearing from you again. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Carrie. Thank you, everybody. Looking forward to see many of you back. Bye-bye.